What's going on, nation? Coming to you guys again from the Blue Wire Studios here in Las Vegas. Joining me today, a little different look. Finally getting my guy in here, Graphic Raider.
Yes, sir.
Come on, Graph.
Blackout, man. It's good to be back home.
Yes, sir. It's going to be a good day. It's training camp, full swing. And as you guys know, it's joint practices with the 49ers. So we brought somebody in here that's very knowledgeable of the situation. Eric Crocker, man. What's going on?
Yeah, I'm in enemy territory just a little bit, man.
Behind enemy lines, brother.
Yeah.
It's good to have our guy in here, man. Shout out to my Northern California brethren, man. Salute.
Yeah,
Salute.
with three Californians in here in Vegas.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, we're a Bay Area team, obviously, when we fell in love with it, right? So it all makes sense.
So how do people, when they talk about the Raiders, because they essentially got kicked out of the Bay Area.
Yeah.
So now, like, is it more natural for y'all now to call them the Las Vegas Raiders? Because for me, I still sometimes get hung up on that a little bit.
I try to stick to Raiders.
It took me to COVID year. It got me bad. Because
Yeah.
we weren't even really in, I don't know, we weren't in the stadium.
Yeah.
We're just, kind of watching. There's no fans. So it was just, it was the Raiders. But now,
it's a
Vegas
reality
fits.
now, though. It's a reality now, man. So it is what it is.
I will say, everything that they've done, it looks sweet. Even driving in this morning, I could see their like training facility off in the distance.
Yep.
Looks sweet. I've been in the stadium. I was there for the Pac-12 championship game. Probably one of the best indoor stadiums I've been to. Now, I've been to SoFi. I've been to the Cowboy Stadium. But this one, it felt like an outdoor stadium.
Yeah.
But with the indoor feel. I don't know. It was interesting. It was a weird vibe, but like I was like, man, this is dope. Looks sweet. Everything, all the little fine touches on everything in the stadium. I was like, man, it looks good. And a lot of 49er fans are jealous because they got Levi Stadium. They're like, man, what is this?
Yeah.
We deserve it, man. We've had so many years of OCO, which we loved.
Yeah.
We loved.
Yeah.
But man, it's good to have a home that looks like that.
Oh, it fits the vibe for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
So today's topic is going to be training camp, guys.
Yeah.
Training camp, it didn't really heat up, I don't think, until we had these joint practices. Because obviously every team, you don't know if it's the offense playing good or the defense playing good, right? You see Jimmy G, if he's going to throw an interception, some people are going to be like, Jimmy sucks. Other people are going to be like, defense is back.
Yeah. So
now that we're getting a little taste of other medicine, we're playing you guys. What are your first takeaways from the first couple of days?
Surprising how the Raiders kind of kicked the 49ers' butt a little bit. And I understand it's just practice and you're working on different things, but there's still a vibe to it. And you still want to come out feeling like, at least, hey, man, it was a legit competition.
Yeah.
But reading all the reports, people that I trust that were there on the ground talking about it, it felt very one-sided, a lot more one-sided than I thought it would be.
Yeah. From both sides, from both beat writers. I was actually shocked that some guys that actually usually kill our team, that cover the team, were actually like, this defense is for real. And, that Jimmy G was really looking good out there against his ex-team. And but the Niners were still, what I heard, they were still performing well. It's just we kind of outdid them day one and day two.
Well, it sounds like there's winning in the trenches, which is how you guys have been dominant the last couple of years. But in the same breath, we're just getting the stat sheet.
Yeah.
So I don't really know. I wish I could see Joey Bosa, Nick Bosa out there against us. But Colton Miller being the anchor on the offensive line, I think has probably been our highlight. But interested to see what you think about Illuminor and Mumford coming in the picture. How do you think that shakes out?
Look, I always said, and shout out to Loom, we brought him back kind of on that 1 year kind of prove it type deal. I thought that we already pretty much drafted his replacement in Mumford. Seventh rounder out of Ohio State, a guy that would have went earlier if you came out a year earlier. Captain, and out there, they're already splitting reps at camp. I'm excited about Mumford, but I think this is still Loom's spot to lose.
Yeah.
At this point, clean up those penalties, those false starts killed us last season. You know what I mean? He knows that. And we've talked to him about that. We've kind of played around with a little bit of Loom a little bit.
But false start in the chicken wing eating contest.
And he's already actually had a few in training camp. You know what I mean? So that's why I think they started splitting reps with Mumford, man. But I'm excited, man. I think Loom knows what's at stake this year. This is a prove-it year for him. If he wants another deal long term, he has to go out there and perform this year.
And the offensive line did build out real nice last year.
Yeah,
it was a little shaky at first. I think, it was just a lot of moving pieces. Right tackle, you didn't know what was going to happen.
Yeah.
Jermaine came in, solidified it, felt good. So I think you're right. The prove-it year is actually him. Hey, you want to keep this job or in a long-term contract, or are we going to groom Mumford? So
I did want to ask y'all, how is Colton Miller viewed? Because this is a guy, and I remember back in that, 2018 draft maybe, and San Francisco 49ers selected Mike McGlinchey.
Yep.
And McGlinchey got out a little bit faster than Miller, and there were a lot of people like, oh man, Raiders should have tried to trade up and get McGlinchey, and it sounded like McGlinchey was potentially their guy.
Yeah. He was.
But fast forward some years, McGlinchey, he's doing very well with his big signing with the Denver Broncos, but it sounds like Miller has been the better tackle. So, like, how has his play been over the year? Has it been like a steady development type thing? Has he had his ups and downs? But it sounded like last year he played very strong.
Very underrated. Very underrated.
He had a slow start, mainly that first rookie year.
Yeah.
He's sprained the same knee like 6 times.
Dealing with injuries.
So for him to even just be able to start the games and be good enough at left tackle to not look like a complete liability, we knew he had something in him. Yeah. But if he can't stay healthy, it's not going to matter.
But also the talent around him wasn't there as well. You know what I mean? So when you go out and get a guy like Dylan Parham last year, you know, in the third round out of Memphis, that guy is an anchor. You know, that left side is instantly improved. And, you know, with Colton, man, I really feel like he is one of those like most under the radar starting left tackles in the NFL. Like he definitely deserves way more flowers than what he gets.
I love Colton.
Yeah, man, Colton's a good guy.
He's just
man.
a big old nerd.
Yeah, he is.
He walk in with his white tube socks and sandals on. You know what I mean? Just
Sacramento zone too. I got to put. I got to.
He did a lot of work with my guy Dan James. I remember when Dan James had him, and he do a lot of work with him and getting him ready for the pro day. Was out there in Indianapolis with him and everything. So.
Yeah. He's a big dude. Was he 6'9"?
Who?
Colton. He's tall. 6'8".
6'8", I believe. 6'7", 6'8".
He looks it when he walks in the building for sure.
Definitely.
One guy on the other side, speaking of first round picks that seemed like they're not going to pan out. One of them was Clee Farrell.
Yeah, we want to talk about that, man.
Yeah.
Because, you know, get us reaching. Let's just keep it a bean. You know, we reached and we took him very early out of Clemson. And, you know, I think a lot of people tend to not give him, I love what Clee brings to the table. He was drafted way too early. I think if you got him in the second or third round, it wouldn't have been that bad of it. You know what I mean? Like, but how do you guys feel about him? This is a guy that can kick inside, kick outside. The Raiders were so confused by him. He had so many different regimes. He gained weight, lost weight. He didn't really get utilized the way we should have utilized him. What are you seeing out there right now early on with Clee coming over there? Is he a potential starter on that line? I mean, especially with Bosa, his situation up in the air. Like, I mean, what do you see right now with Clee, or what are you hearing?
I don't foresee him being a starter, but definitely a rotation type guy. And that's what the 49ers are looking for. You know, they've lost some guys, Amenahu, Ebukam. Yeah. Like those guys were key contributors. Mm-hmm. They had key
Jordan Willis
that came from the Raiders a couple years ago. And what the 49ers really try to do is kind of, hey, we're going to be mean in the middle there. Mm-hmm. And you went out, you spent a lot of money on Hargraves. Yeah. You obviously have Eric Armstead, Sacramento zone.
Shout out to my guy.
And you got the guy that makes everything go with Nick Bosa. Yeah. But opposite him, they really want Drake Jackson to come along. Yes. And this is a guy who they went, drafted out of USC. He ended up being one of the last picks in the second round a couple years ago. But now it's like, all right, are you going to take that next step? That's what they're looking for. And if he does, everyone else is just, how do you fit in with what we're doing? Yeah. So when you look at a guy like Farrell, hey, you were drafted, 4th overall, and the expectations of you were so high. Now, hey, we just can we get 10 solid reps out of you per game? Yeah. And he might be better suited for that type of role where you can play some outside, maybe set some edges, but man, we can rush you from that 3-tech, put you inside. Mm-hmm. The 49ers did that with Key. I want to say Key had 6 sacks, and that was a career high for him. Yeah. But being able to utilize him as the other, like the other guy, like just one of the guys. And I think they're hoping Farrell can be one of those guys as well. They're going to look for a few guys that kind of potentially fill that role, whether it's Farrell or Bryant, a guy they signed out of from the Detroit Lions. Mm-hmm. But for them, it's more so focused on Drake Jackson and him taking that next step to play with Bosa whenever he signs. Yeah. And then, all right, the other guys, we just need you to be legit rotation pieces who they've done very well identifying those guys over the last few years.
Yeah. I envy the Niners and the Eagles both on how you guys have been able to build out a steady defensive line, but have that depth, just like you said, adding him. Yeah. So you brought up another player.
Jordan Willis, you know, a guy that we went and got, you know, in free agency. I thought it was kind of a sneaky pickup, a guy that, you know, was kind of a rotational piece for you guys as well on that defensive line. But what do you see? What have you seen from him, and what do you think that we see, that we're going to see in Raider Nation?
So I always talk about getting like roles and like specific things. And Jordan Willis, his biggest impact for the Raiders might be on special teams. Like that's what it was for the 49ers. Yeah. You know, when the 49ers beat the Green Bay Packers in the divisional roundup, 0-degree weather, they only were able to win that game because Willis blocked that punt. Hufanga takes it in for a touchdown. That tied the game up late in the fourth quarter. You know, so, you know, you're looking for guys that can potentially be a guy, what role and what purpose does he serve? Yeah. And can you come in and get a few reps? Can you get 3 sacks this season? Yeah. You know, so not having like these high lofty expectations, he's not going to be Max Crosby, but can you just come in, get 3 sacks, and then be a key contributor on kickoff? And he's a guy that ran very well coming out of the draft. He's a big, fast defensive lineman. Yeah. Shoot, man, you know, my time in the NFL didn't last long because I can't guard 6'6" running full speed at me, 260 pounds, and you got me on kickoff return. These guys bulldozing me over. He's the type of guy that can have that type of role as more of an enforcer on special teams. So I don't expect him to have this big role on the defensive side of the ball, even though he can fill in here and there, but more so feel his presence on special teams.
I agree.
Yeah, they were a lot deeper than us at defensive line. I think we maybe get a little bit more use out of them, hopefully, on defense.
Well, we got a great rotation this year now, though. We got a lot more, you know, got more firepower. Yeah, you know, second-year guys, Neil Farrell, you know, we got Matthew Butler out of Tennessee. We'll see what he has. And, you know, Bilal Nichols finally healed up, you know, and I'm hearing really good things about Tillery. He's getting reps on the outside now as a defense end. Like, so, you know, I'm excited to see what we do on that defensive line, especially with Chan and with Tyree coming back. You know, from injury, you know, our first round guy to Texas Tech, and then Max is going to go from star to superstar this season. I mean, they were already saying, all the beat writers, even Niner guys were saying that Max was the best guy on the field.
So you don't think he's already a superstar?
See, me personally, I think he's a star. I said this on my show the other day. And Cody, tell me what you think about this, okay?
I saw you roll your eyes, so he's going to get a little heat for that.
I'm going to wait.
I love Max Crosby. You know what I mean? Shout out to Max. That's my guy. But the thing is, when you go somewhere, I could be in Texas. I live in Dallas, right? You're going to see superstars. You're going to see jerseys all over the place. You don't see that yet. I think this is going to be the year where you can go anywhere, Miami, New York, and you're going to see Max Crosby jerseys all over the place. It takes
us winning. Like, we got to be a playoff team to turn him into a superstar. That's the only reason Devontae, Max, and Josh weren't top 10 on NFL Top 100. Yeah. You know what I mean? It was all on the record.
Yeah. I mean, 6 wins. I mean, I shouldn't grant you a top 10. Yeah. I'm shocked that we had 3 guys in the top 20 winning 6 wins. Yeah. But that lets you know what kind of talent that we do possess on this roster. We just got to put it all together. And I think this year we're going to do it.
He's got all superstar traits.
Yeah, definitely.
He knows it too.
Yeah. He can set the edge. He can get to look, this year, 15 plus sacks from Max Crosby. I'm calling it right now. Superstar potential.
And that matchup is huge for joint practices, him and Trent.
Love it.
Because ultimately, I mean, it's pretty easy to say Trent Williams is probably the best tackle in NFL right now. I think
so. Some people say Lane Johnson, but if you ask, you know, anybody,
1A motto, you know what I mean? If you get a chance to play either one of them in camp, like, that's a big win. And seeing them extra work on the side, one-on-one. Because even for Trent, even if he is the best, if he wants to stay the best, you got to beat the best. And Max is a top 3 guy.
Yeah.
So,
but Trent is also played on some sketchy offensive lines. Lane Johnson is, to me, the Philadelphia Eagles have clearly the best offensive line in the league. So he has a lot. And that's not taking anything away from Lane. He's definitely talented, but I do think that Trent is the best tackle in the NFL. And to see him and Max battle it out and the respect that they have for each other, for Trent to have that kind of respect for Max, it's his turn right now.
Did y'all watch the quarterback show on Netflix?
I watched a little bit of it.
I didn't get a chance to, but I seen your tweet, right? And everybody started sharing it, and the low key went viral. And I love it. I want to know, because I didn't get a chance to.
So are you saying the Manziel one or the quarterback one?
No, the quarterback one.
Okay. I fell asleep when Mahomes was on TV.
Seen the quarterback one. Seen the quarterback one.
But we can't get to the Manziel one eventually. But no, watching Max Crosby and how he competed against Kansas City Chiefs and how he was antagonizing Patrick Mahomes. Yeah. I loved it. Yeah. And I was thinking, that's my type of guy. Yeah. And I kind of felt, while watching that, Patrick Mahomes, he had a little bit more dog in him than I was expecting. He would talk trash, he'd get in guys, but he didn't like being touched, and it kind of made him uncomfortable, and you see him start to complain, and you see him start to kind of act like that, like rich kid. I'm like, dude, you can't have it both ways. You can't want to talk trash to everybody and be that dog, but then when the guy is touching you after the play, you want to complain and cry to the refs. But I liked watching Max Crosby and just the way he competed. Even though they lost, he kept coming. And the way he was getting after the quarterback. So I'm glad he's not playing this Sunday. I'm pretty sure he'll be sitting now because, Trey Lance, he doesn't need that type of pressure on him.
I want to ask you real quick. And we're gonna talk Jimmy G for a while, so I don't want to go there yet. But with Shanahan, one of the greatest offensive minds in the NFL. But is there really something there where it's like the injury history with quarterbacks? Trey, Purdy goes down. Like, is there something there from a Niners standpoint? You cover the team. Like, what does he do that has these quarterbacks just year in and year out go out?
You want to say that it's a fluke because it's the quarterback position, guys are going to get hit, and you see how these injuries are happening.
Yeah.
But to the extent in which they happen specifically for the 49ers, you know, there was something recently, I guess even throughout the Kyle Shanahan era, they put out there on social media, like the amount of quarterbacks that he's played each season. Yeah. And we're talking about 3 quarterbacks this year, 2 quarterbacks this year. The only time he's had 1 quarterback play the whole year, it was 2019 when the 49ers went to the Super Bowl. Outside of that, they had at least 2 quarterbacks playing, and more times than not, 3 quarterbacks in the season. So you kind of have to feel like there's something he's doing different than the rest of the league. I think I contributed more to the 49ers. They don't have a legit drop back system.
That's what I was going to say. It was almost the style of the offense.
Yeah. So I think some of these like long, drawn out play actions where guys kind of just, I don't know if they get to pick up more momentum. They're hitting your quarterbacks, maybe the usage of them. We saw how Trey Lance, broke his ankle, and that was more unique than the other guys. But it's hard to put it solely on him, but there has to be something that's going on with how he's calling his games that somehow generate more injuries. He kind of scoffed at the answer or the question when they asked him in the offseason, but there's got to be something to it. And right now, people are like, oh, you got to have 3 or 4 good quarterbacks because look how the quarterbacks get hurt. And I'm like, man, that is not normal. That's not how all these other NFL teams are operating. They're operating under, hey, we're going to have our guy, and then our backup can really just be whoever or somebody that can just get our main guy ready on game day. Somebody that's going to make sure he has all the cut-ups and everything ready so our starter is good. Yeah. But the 49ers are looking for like 1, 2, 3 legit guys that can potentially start because of all the injuries they've had. And I don't think that's normal.
I was going to say, they got to know just by that alone. Because even, the 4th quarterback on the roster seems like they could be a QB2 on almost any other team.
I was high on Sam Darnold, and I'm not really big on a lot of USC guys. But
the Red Rocket?
I think when he's in the right situation, though, like I think Sam Darnold can perform. Who has the edge right now at QB2? Is it him or Lance? Because I'm hearing mixed. It's a mixed bag right now when it comes to those guys.
I think if you ask the media, and here's the tough thing, because I can go off of what I watched throughout training camp, but the media continues to drive home it's Sam Darnold that's going to be QB2. Now, Trey Lance is starting in this preseason game, so I don't know if that's Kyle Shanahan playing mind games, and he really kind of knows, like, well, eventually I'm just going to go with Darnold, and that's who's going to be the guy. But from everything that I've seen, and we'll even lump in Brock Purdy with this. If they all had the same amount of reps with the first group and this, same amount of throws, you would have a hard time figuring out who is the best quarterback. And you'd have, if you poll 15 people, 5 people might say Trey Lance has been the best, and he's done some really good things. 5 people might say Brock Purdy, and 5 others might say Sam Darnold. Again, that's based on them having all the same sample size. Now, it's kind of tailored more towards Brock Purdy being the guy with just, obviously he's QB1.
The fans would lose their mind if he wasn't starting.
He's going to see, he is the starter. So he's getting the bulk of the reps. So you just see him on the field 2 times as much as any of the other guys. He's going to throw 2 times as many passes. So he has 2 times as much opportunities to just make some throws to people say, oh, yep, that's why he's the guy. But if you split their reps evenly, I think it'd be a lot closer. And I think there would be a lot of people that kind of drift more towards what Trey Lance has done. And he's taking the steps in the right direction. I don't think Kyle Shanahan was expecting that. I think Kyle was thinking Trey is going to be what he's been, a little bit erratic, throwing the ball all over the place. He's been hurt. And he completely reworked his mechanics. He's gotten a lot more consistent. He looks much more comfortable. And any of the practices where he's had more of a kind of a down day is because he only had like 4 or 5 throws in that practice. Any practice where he's thrown 10 more times, or when Brock wasn't out there, because he was kind of on the pitch count, when Brock wasn't out there, he looked awesome. He looked great. He's making all the throws. He looks good. So he's taking steps in the right direction, but clearly it's Brock Purdy's job.
And they're always going to pinpoint his mistakes because he was an early round guy. The Niners gave up a lot to go get him. And it sucks. I like Lance. I think that they did give up a lot to go get him. And I thought that they thought he was going to be that dude day one. But, do you still have high expectations for him? At this point, Purdy was, Mr. Irrelevant. This wasn't supposed to happen.
No.
Me just kind of watching how it all played out, typically a guy that's drafted that high, he gets more of an opportunity than what he's got. Now, you come in the first year, he wasn't drafted to the Jacksonville Jaguars. He wasn't drafted to the Chicago Bears, teams where they're clearly maybe rebuilding, and you could just go all in with this young, inexperienced quarterback, a quarterback that probably needed more reps than anyone else. Right? So you have Jimmy Garoppolo on the roster, And Kyle Shanahan, at the time that Trey Lance was drafted, and we're talking about 1 winning season in 4 years. So everybody sees the Super Bowl year. Everybody understands he's a good coach, but the results are the results. There's only 1 winning season. So I think he felt kind of that pressure to where, hey man, we got to win this year. I can't risk 1 winning season in 5 years with a young quarterback. So they kept Jimmy Garoppolo. Next thing you know, boom, they go to the NFC Championship game. And then he's like, all right, we're going to take the training wheels off. Trey Lance, you're going to be the guy. Then week 2, he snaps his ankle. And then I say that he's more unlucky than the situation being unfair because Brock Purdy came in and he did extremely well. Played 7, 8 games, played at a very high level. I think he did a really good job of facilitating the ball to all the weapons that the 49ers have. Made a play here and there with his legs. And I think Kyle liked that. And he's like, all right, you're the guy. That's where I say, oh, hold on. You do have this young guy. At the very least, give Trey Lance an opportunity. Brock Purdy can come in, he can be QB1. Based off of what he did in the small sample size of 7, 8 games. But Trey Lance, with all that you gave up for him, he should at the very least get an opportunity to compete. And I don't think they expected him to do well. I think that's why they got Sam Darnold. And I think his initial thoughts were, oh, Sam Darnold is going to just beat Trey out with what Trey has been. And Trey kind of, he stepped up and he's looked solid. So
can Shanahan at some point replicate what he did with Jimmy and Lance and kind of split reps with any of these guys? Do you think that he would try to replicate that again?
No, because he tried to do that, and we saw that. I want to say it was the week 1, 2022. That season, Detroit Lions, 49. No, it was 2021. That was the year he got to. So 49ers played Detroit Lions. The first drive, Jimmy, he drives him down the field. Trey Lance comes in, boom, throws a touchdown. Didn't see it again until like week 3. Week 3 comes in, they're playing against Green Bay. He runs in for a touchdown. Then you don't see him again until Jimmy Garoppolo gets hurt. So I think initially, and we saw it in the 49ers Raiders preseason game, Trey Lance's rookie year, they were rotating the guys in and out. He said that he struggles calling an offense that way because he sets things up. So he never really went with the 2 quarterback package. If you look at how they utilize Trey Lance throughout training camp, it's been more so of just being good from the pocket. And not a whole, literally one designed run throughout all of camp so far. So
he's trying to protect those guys a lot more this season.
I don't expect them to put together a 2 quarterback package. If you're in a Brock Purdy, QB1 playing Pittsburgh Steelers, you are the guy, and you don't have to look over your shoulder with me trying to throw wrinkles in there with the guy running read option.
It almost seems more predictable too whenever you start splitting them up. Because you're not bringing in another quarterback to run a play that the guy you pulled can run himself.
Exactly.
So too much of a sample size of 2 quarterback system probably wouldn't work. But while we're talking about 49er quarterbacks,
2019, a guy that Super Bowl, right, with the 49ers.
Mr. Jimmy G. What can you tell us? Obviously, our perception of Jimmy G is very hazy because we have this guy that came in 9 years, fan base, loved Derek, obviously most of his career until the end. So now it's kind of like, okay, how do we fall in love with a new quarterback? I feel like that was maybe like one of the first quarterbacks that the fan base really latched onto.
So
now it's like, okay, break up. This is going to be the quarterback maybe in the meantime. Do we see Jimmy G as a long-term option? No, not right now.
Glorified bridge guy.
Hey, look, all of a sudden he plays 17 games and plays well, gets us in the playoffs. We're thinking, okay, we'll just keep this thing rolling. But what, from your perspective, him coming and playing for the Raiders, what do we expect from him? And what is your, after his departure, what is your overall thoughts on him?
I think you hear a lot of mixed reviews about Jimmy Garoppolo, and people were trying to figure out what he was. And a lot of people, I think, judged him based off of, at the time he signed that initial contract, went 5-0 with the 49ers, hadn't lost a game, and then you make him the highest paid quarterback in NFL history. And he was judged based off of that, as opposed to just being a legit starting quarterback, which I think he was. Are you going to count on him to be a guy that is just going to throw the ball 40 times a game and carry your team every single week? No. Can he do it from time to time? Yeah, he's had some big games throwing the ball for the 49ers, but you're more so, hey man, let's lean on Josh Jacobs in the backfield.
The run game.
Let's make sure that this defense is good. And I think he's a terrific complementary piece when you have some of those things around you. So having the Devontae Adams, having the Hunter Renfrow, it would have been nice to still have
Myers,
Waller, but you do have the tight end Austin Hooper, right? And Mayer, the rookie out of Notre Dame. So I think having those guys, you're going to see, man, he's somebody, once he starts to get in that groove, he can facilitate very well. Just don't ask him to do things outside of what he does well. He's not great throwing the ball down the field. Whether
I was going to ask you that about the deep ball, because a lot of people kill him for I've seen him throw the deep ball before, you know what I mean? But that's not a strength. You don't want to see Jimmy G throw the ball deep down the field.
Well, it seems like our offense isn't that strength anyways.
No.
I mean, Devontae's going to get open down deep. You got to be able to hit him. That's the one time you got to be able to hit somebody deep.
But you want to beat the middle of the field up with Jimmy G.
The tough thing is he didn't have a whole lot of opportunities throwing the ball down the field, so I don't know how good he actually can be.
Got you.
And when they did pull the trigger downfield, more times than not, it was a designed shot play from Kyle Shanahan, where maybe he was setting something up and then boom, let's hit them with this big play action and let's throw it to George Kittle, who's wide open, right? Just throwing a straight go route wasn't a part of 49ers game plan really with Jimmy Garoppolo at quarterback. So if he's going to be that guy, you know, with the Raiders, that's different.
He was judged a lot by that miss with Emmanuel Sanders in the Super Bowl.
He was.
And he caught a lot of flack with that, right? And that was terrible on Jimmy G's part. But like, as a guy that covers the team, do you think that he doesn't get enough credit? Because as Raider fans, we always say, he had that stout defense. I mean, does Jimmy deserve more credit than what he receives?
I think so. You know, one of the things that you hear a lot of the 49er players talk about is, man, he's a terrific leader.
Yeah.
He's a guy that's very captivating with his rest of his teammates in the locker room. Now, he won't call you on the phone. He won't text you back. They'll tell you that as well. But when it comes to being in the building and everything that you need to do to be a legit starting quarterback and lead your team and looking those guys in the eyes in the huddle and you feeling like, man, this guy's going to lead us to victory, he did that. Again, not the most explosive plays throughout games as far as him generating those explosive plays with his arms, but being on time, being consistent, hitting those intermediate throws, that 10 to 20 yard range, tearing those windows up, tight windows. He's terrific at that. Now, he sometimes is going to miss that safety rolling down, that robber safety. But if you can start to kind of maybe diversify where his eyes are a little bit, then that might help expand a little bit more on what you could do offensively and maybe keep some of those robber safeties out of there, because he would miss those at times. But overall, I think he's going to do well with the Raiders. I told a lot of Raider fans, because, you know, people are, oh man, Jimmy G. I'm like, hold on. I know he gets a bad rap, but he's actually a pretty solid quarterback. He just might not be the guy when you get to the playoffs and you're in the AFC. It was like, oh, well, Jimmy Garoppolo is probably the worst quarterback in the AFC. But if you have the good things around him, like you guys added with the young rookie tight end Mayer and Adams and all these other guys, you should be fine.
We did see it immediately. It was kind of weird. We signed him and he didn't pass his physical. So he's not around the team at all. And we're like, dude, he needs to be, you know, getting some balls to Devontae already, building that chemistry. So we didn't know what to expect. But then as soon as he stepped on the field, first day of camp, and he was back, and you started getting, you know, the Max Crosby getting on media, and he's like, yo, dude came out and just started talking trash. Like, he never missed a beat. And I'm like,
he says that he's a dog. Everybody keeps saying he's a dog.
It's natural. So, I mean, he won me over with that.
And he's also he's returning to a system that he was born into. You know what I mean? Like, I know he's been gone, 6 seasons now, you know, with the Niners. How do you think that affects Jimmy G coming over to Vegas? I mean, leaving that system with Shanahan, going from, I'm going to be honest, two great offensive minds with Josh McDaniels and Shanahan, but he's returning to a system, like I said, in New England. How do you think that transition goes? Do you think that give us some hope, bro? Give us some optimism out here in Las Vegas. Do you think that translates to some wins this year with him returning back to that New England, that Josh used to call out there?
I think a lot of 49er fans are definitely anxious to see what it looks like, especially on a consistent basis. I think Kyle Shanahan, he's a tough coach to play for when you're a quarterback. He wants things done his way and very specific. That's why it's tough for a guy
and
like
so does Josh too.
McDaniels.
Yeah.
But I felt like the Patriots offense was a little bit more wide open. They did run a lot of shotgun type stuff. You had a lot of quick stuff out of your guys from the slots, where 49ers, it was play action, turn your back to a defense, get your eyes back around, and you have a split second to hit this ball. Now, if you hit it, big gain, run after catch, all that. And they definitely built the team around guys that do that very well. But your margin for error was very slim. And I'm curious to see with McDaniels, is the passing game a little bit more wide open? And if so, I think we can actually see a better version of Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yeah, they're returning to that form that Josh, kind of created out there in New England. Those 2 slot guys. I mean, Jacoby's going to start on the outside. He's our wide receiver too, but he's going to see a lot of time in the inside. Trey Tucker, our rookie out of Cincinnati, 3rd round guy, is going to see some time in the slot as well. And then they got those 2 tight ends that they love to have, like, with Gronk and Hernandez, with Hooper and Mayer, which I hope, I think he's going to be a guy for us. But
he's getting beat up out there, so he's learning the hard way.
Yeah, and Max is beating him up. He's the one doing it because, that's what you want from your superstar guys. You want your guys to go out there and show these rooks what it is early, man. But what are you looking at in terms of Sunday? Like what's the close? I know we're going to see some 2nd, 3rd, 4th string guys, but is there any certain battles that you want to see out there?
Have we named our starter, our quarterback? We haven't, huh?
I mean, we know who it is.
AOC?
Oh, are you talking about starter, or are you talking about for Sunday?
No, tomorrow.
Oh, it's going to be AO. Yeah, it's going to be Aiden O'Connell.
Okay.
I'm excited about that because I'm hearing that he's killing it at camp right now as well. So I don't want to see Hoyer out there. He's a veteran. He's 38 years old. We know what to expect from him. We know what Hoyer. And this is no disrespect. He's a glorified. He's going to hold that clipboard. He's going to show this young guy what it is because he knows this system.
He's the perfect backup. Like that's more of typically what you're looking for. The Brian Hoyers, where if a guy does get nicked up, can he come in and play a few drives or maybe finish out a game, but not somebody long term. But again, you want to ideally be able to count on your starting quarterback to play most of the season. And that's what the 49ers haven't been able to do. As far as what I'm looking for, it's tough because you have the joint practices, so most of the starters aren't even playing a drive, not even playing 2 drives, right? With traditionally preseason, you see guys, Denver Broncos is a little different. Yeah, they had Russell Wilson into dang near halftime yesterday. But for us, it's what is the quarterbacks? What initially is what do the quarterbacks look like with Trey Lance and then Sam Darnold. Outside of that, we got some young guys, man, and we've spent so much time talking about the quarterbacks and that whole controversy. But Jair Brown, he was the 49ers' first pick in the draft. He was a 3rd round guy.
My favorite safety in this draft.
Was he?
I talked about Jair the whole draft process. That was my guy to Penn State. I love his game, and I heard really good things from him from camp, from you guys as well.
Well, he had a bunch of interceptions during the OTAs. He ended the last, before they went to Las Vegas, that last practice, he had an interception. So he's kind of continuing being that ball hawk guy that he was at Penn State. Yeah. And I'm curious to see, they have some opportunity for him potentially with some 3 safety sets. They also have Tajir Gibson, who he's done a terrific job for the 49ers. He had 4 or 5 interceptions last year, and obviously Hufanga. But how does Jair Brown kind of fit in, and what will his role be? So I'm excited to kind of just finally get to sit and watch him tomorrow. We were talking about earlier, going to the game and kind of walking around. But I'm like, when guys like Jair on the field, I'm trying to see exactly like, man, what does he look like? And does his lack of speed end up kind of biting him? Because this is a guy that, he ran a 4.65 at the combine. And if you can play fast mentally, then you'll be fine. And we saw that with Hufanga. He's a 4.6 guy, but played very fast. Can Jair Brown do that and maybe limit the explosive plays from offenses? I'll be curious to watch that tomorrow.
So you expect him to start tomorrow? Do you expect him to start during the season?
I expect him to probably start tomorrow. I'm curious to see if they put Hufanga out there. They have put Odom out there. He's a safety. He's more of a special teams guy. 49ers got from the Colts a couple years ago. But if they went out there with Jair Brown and Odom, I would not at all be surprised.
Okay. I'm interested. Jair Brown, man, I'm telling you, I was beating the table. I was like, I want to. And when he went that, I didn't think he was going to go that early, though. I'm going to be honest. I thought he was going to drop a little bit more because of the speed. And look, he went to a perfect situation with the Niners. You guys usually have a strong defense. I think that's a really good situation for him. What's your linebackers look like right now in terms of at camp? We know you have Fred Warner. I mean, that's a guy that's top. He's one of the top guys in the league. Right. But like, is there some young talent at the second level of your defense that you're looking forward to see?
So right now, it depends on what list, and I'd say probably most lists you look at, 49ers had the best linebacker core because of that tandem with Fred Warner, then Dre Greenlaw. And Dre Greenlaw, I mean, he's a monster. We look at Fred Warner, he kind of sets the tone, but if you kind of think of like Draymond Green, right? Like that's Dre Greenlaw. He's kind of that toe the line a little bit, and I think you need those habitual line towers a little bit where they might kind of step over, and he might draw a penalty here and there, and you might be upset with him. He might draw an unnecessary face mask, but man, he sets the tone. He plays fast. He's gonna hit guys. He's gonna talk trash. He does all those things, man. So those 2 guys is great, but they also drafted 2 young linebackers. One out of TCU,
D Winners.
D Winners.
Yep.
And then the other one, Griffin, out of the kid out of Purdue.
Okay.
Dang, did I say the wrong name? I got to look up his name. But anyways, he played at Purdue.
Yeah.
He's a more of a strong side linebacker, where D Winners is more of your weak side off ball. So I'm curious to see what these. Sixth round. I know I'm getting his last name wrong, but I can't wait to see what those guys look like in those roles, because 49ers may have a third spot open, and we'll see they have some younger guys kind of competing for that spot. I'm not sure one of these rookies will get that opportunity, but I'm curious to see who kind of steps up and who flashes, because they have made plays in practice.
We have a guy like that right now that has some dog in him right now, and keep an eye on Nesta J. Silvera, our 7th round pick, defensive tackle at Arizona State. I'm hearing so many good things about him, that he dominated at that joint practice. And Max is saying that he's ready to go. This is a guy that's going to be a massive piece of this defensive line.
We need our linebackers to step up though. I wish we'd have did something like them.
I know.
Something, some late round picks. I'm surprised we haven't even picked up a vet yet.
Well, we got Amari Burney in the 6th round out of Florida. You know what I mean? And I'm shocked that we waited that long to address the linebacker position. But that's what, New England is built. Their foundation was built on late round guys, UDFAs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And we got Drake Thomas also out of North Carolina State. He's a guy that can ball for us as well. So look, man, I just hope that this defense is real. Like everyone's
I'm just glad we're hearing good things about Spillane, because it's almost like we're counting on him. You know what I mean?
Spillane,
do y'all know what the 49ers secret is with their linebackers? What they do?
Want to hear it?
They draft guys that played DB in college.
Interesting.
It don't work for us. See, no, we do the same thing. We'll go draft safeties and we'll convert them to linebacker. Tanner Muse, Clemson, a guy that played as safety, moved to linebacker. He ended up being a special teams ace and was gone. You know what I mean? We got our young pup.
He was hurt didn't he get hurt his rookie season?
Yes, he did. And then we drafted, we didn't draft him. We got a UDFA out of UNLV, made him from.
I feel like Hobbs has the potential even in like a base defense. Let him play a little outside linebacker and get in there.
That's interesting.
He's a true nickel, though.
Yeah,
Hobbs is a true nickel.
But he'll get back there and
he's just a complete dog.
He'll lay in.
He's to me my favorite. Him and Max are 1A, 1B when it comes to tackle. Like on this team, like the feistiness is different. I think Nate Hobbs can play all over the place, but I do want to see him in the slot. Keep him primarily in the nickel.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? With Jacorian Bennett on the outside, our young guy out of Maryland. I'm hearing so many good things about our 4th rounder. The speed is there, and what do you think about the addition of Marcus Peters, a veteran that instantly came in and changed the energy around this defense?
You see, he came in and got an interception. And I figured that would happen, especially him picking off Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy, he's going to turn the ball over a little bit, I think. Yeah. But Marcus Peters is a guy who is very confident with what he's seeing. Yes. And one thing that goes underrated, because, everybody know he's from Oakland. And whatever you think about, like, them Oakland town dudes, he is definitely that.
Personified.
Yeah.
But he's extremely smart on the field. He's a film study guy. So he knows how to cheat. He can be in man coverage and still read concepts and jump routes. And it can be boom or bust sometimes, but I think more times than not, he's definitely doing a really good job of making plays. So I think for him, just sticking in one place for a long time, his attitude could probably, and his persona can maybe wear on guys a little bit. Yeah. But overall, I think like what the Raiders are and kind of what they're building, and having that playmaker on the outside, which, I mean, the Raiders, they've been taking swings at guys and just haven't really been able to solidify like a true, like, okay, outside guy that's going to be a long-term corner for them. But I think for a year or two, I think Peters would be a really good fit with what they're doing and make some plays, take the ball away. And then, like I said, Jimmy Garoppolo needs that.
Yeah. Has DeMarco Ryans moving on to Houston to take that job, has that affected your defense? Like, have you heard things out there about him moving on from being your defensive coordinator and going out there? Has anything shifted or changed? Is the energy different with him gone? Because he was a major piece of that defense.
Well, no, we haven't felt it yet. And I think primarily because the real defensive coordinator for the 49ers is Kyle Shanahan. He picks the defensive coordinators. He picks the defense that he wants them to run. He coaches them up on like the strengths and weaknesses and where they're, the kind of the holes in the defense. When they went and got Wilkes, he's like, all right, Wilkes, I want you to come, but this is the defense I want you to run. Yeah. So we haven't been able to feel that yet. Maybe from an energy. Maybe from an energy standpoint, because D'Amico definitely was going to bring that. Robert Saleh definitely brought that. Yeah. I don't know if Wilkes is that type of guy, but just watching him and how he interacts with the secondary, and that's the thing too. He's a secondary coach as opposed to Ryans and Saleh, who are linebacker coaches. But just seeing how he interacts with the guy and the things he's teaching, you know me, when I'm at the practices, I'm locked in on the secondary guys and seeing what they're doing. I'm like, okay, I like these drills. I like how he slowed it down, how he's talking to them, working with their steps and things like that. So hopefully we see it carry over to the secondary. I think for the 49ers, toughest thing is whether you have D'Amico Ryans or if you have Wilkes or whoever it is, I don't think they have like that special elite talented defensive back. Okay. They have a bunch of guys that fit a very specific role, and they do a good job of putting those guys in those roles to be successful, but maybe not the most versatile type of guy. So I'm curious to see like how he works within that, because you know you don't have the J.C. Horn that he had for Carolina, who he could play outside. He could put him in that star position. You know.
Well, Wilkes is probably going to get a head coaching job in the future. I mean, if history repeats itself, because Robert Saleh's out there doing this thing out there, you know, in New York with the Jets. Yeah. And yeah, man, I think the Ryans is going to do a really good job down there. They got a lot of young talent down there in Houston.
Yeah. You know, one thing on our defense, Marcus Epps, I think is going to be the biggest difference maker this year.
Yes.
Because we haven't had that. Merrick has the talent. I think if you can take away the thought process from him, he can go out there and play ball. And I think Marcus Epps is able to do that. Finally gets his duo.
Yeah, Merrick was in his head a lot last year. You can tell. You know, you can
tell the difference.
You're in Graham's system year one. I think what I'm hearing is that Patrick Graham simplified things a little bit more this offseason. You know what I mean? Because let's just be real. You know, they call him the Black Picasso for a reason. You know what I mean? But sometimes it can look like chicken scratch if you don't really understand the concept.
If they're not on the same page and they're not doing what they're supposed to, then it's going to look like a mess.
Well, sometimes, especially with defense, simple is kind of better. Think about some of the best defenses we've seen. Right? Look at the Seattle Legion of Boom.
There you go.
They played one coverage damn near for the entire game. You know, they mix up some stuff here and there, but for the most part, they were going to run that Seattle 3 scheme, and everyone knew their jobs to a T. And more importantly, they knew exactly where their weaknesses were. And that's really big. Understanding where you could be hurt, so you're aware of that and you can play with more anticipation. Look at kind of shortly after that with I think Fangio, I want to say, was coaching those Denver Broncos when they won the Super Bowl. Who was the defensive coordinator that year?
Vic.
Was it Vic? So Vic Fangio, he's a heavy quarters guy. He's not going to, he's going to run some quarters, he's going to run some man, but he had those guys playing it to a T. So sometimes when you run fewer coverages, but everybody can really focus in and dial in on exactly what their responsibilities are and what the weaknesses are, you see them play at a higher level.
Yeah, I mean, look at it. We had Paul Gunther for a while. Our defense made no sense, and we struggled. We bring in Gus Bradley for a year, simplified things. Our defense improves, and then you bring in a Patrick Graham, a guy that likes so many different looks on the defensive side of the ball. But now he finally had an opportunity to go out and draft some talent that fits what he needs, and it's starting to show right now early on at training camp. Man, I'm excited, man. Paul, come on, let's be real, man. Paulie G, man.
I could go every podcast the rest of my life without hearing Paul Gunther.
Me too. Yeah, it's terrible.
Raiders defenses. But hey, at least we're hearing some good things out of camp. Yeah. We'll see it tomorrow. That's what we've been waiting for. But more importantly, we got to wait for the regular season.
Yes.
If we can be good enough, just like how we always go back to that 2016, because that's the template of where we were most successful. We can just produce a top 20 defense, not give it the big gains, bend but don't break, be good in the red zone, and shake them up a little bit, just like you were mentioning earlier, Max Crosby. If we can get Nate Hobbs in there full time, do the same thing. Marcus Peters, get him in there, stir things up. Epps, Merrick, all these guys.
Robert Spillane, a guy that came over from Pittsburgh that looks really good for us early on. We kind of replaced Denzel Perryman with him. He had a few picks yesterday at camp. So
you get a middle linebacker that's picking balls off the middle of the field. Quarterbacks can be scared to throw it over their own line.
And it's been forever since we've had linebackers. You know, this year I hope Spillane pans out. I hope that Divine Diablo takes that step, this year and stays healthy.
Got to stay healthy.
Second year guy, Luke Masterson, the UDFA that we got out of Wake Forest, hearing really good things from him at camp. So I'm excited, man. But like you said, regular season, that's when it becomes real.
Yeah.
I got to ask you this. All of us being from California, you grew up at Oakland Coliseum like I did, right?
Yeah.
The Battle of the Bay, right? We grew up, it was real. It was real, you know what I'm saying? And like, I know it's not the same anymore, but how do you feel about that? Is it always going to be there? Because I always said the Battle Bay is always going to be there. When you're from Northern California, you're either a Raider or a Niner. You know, we have some shout out to your brother, some Cowboy fans in the mix as well, right? I said shout out to my boy. But like, is that Battle of the Bay, does it still hit for you the way it did before, we left Oakland and now we're in Las Vegas?
I think it does definitely with a rivalry within the fans.
Yes.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing for it to be like a true rivalry. We need both teams to be good.
You're right.
And meet up in some important games, playing late in the season, having some big battles, potentially meeting up in the Super Bowl. Like those type of things is going to generate that like real rivalry is back. And I bet like the promotion on that, the production on it, like everything would probably be crazy, going back several years. So I would like to see it there, but I think right now the rivalry is more so amongst just the fans.
It's the fans.
Like let's say the Cowboys, right? My big brother Brian, he's a diehard Dallas Cowboy fan. Well, the last 2 years, 49ers and Cowboys played in the playoffs. Yeah. So you kind of bring back that throwback rivalry. And that was the first time that I really felt it since I was a kid. You have it just because, there's a lot of Cowboy fans. Yeah. But playing them in the postseason and like what that feels like. I went to Jerry's World and watched that. Like it's real and you get to feel that intensity. So I think for the 49ers and the Raiders, obviously it's a little different because they don't play as often. Yeah. In different conferences. But if they can play a meaningful game, I think we feel it a lot more.
And last year was a good starting point. That was a very close game. Most of the time, the Niners are going to take every shot they can. Even if they beat us, right? They're going to kill us. But a lot of Niner fans left last year with that game with respect. It was respect. It was a great game. You know what I mean? We had Stidham that came in and performed out. I mean, he played against one of the greatest defenses in the NFL and went out there and did his numbers, man. And then, they got some film on him the following week. It wasn't the same. but you know what I mean? But I think that was a good starting point last year, that kind of reuniting that fire. And now that we get to have these joint practices and we kind of start, they took preseason away from us with the Niners and the Bay because people were getting hurt.
Yeah, I mean, you get stabbed. That's a good reason.
It's a little different.
But now that we're Great America versus Bellagio, we can make it happen, right? Oh, works out. Looking forward to the matchup. I want to talk about something a little off Raiders Niners. Something that popped up this week. Johnny Manziel. Yeah. Untold Stories. Netflix does a great job on all those documentaries. You put out a tweet that caught Johnny Manziel's attention himself. Yeah. And I mean, really, the core of the story was this kid coming out of nowhere. No one knew who he was. Goes out, becomes a superstar, and starts doing some illegal activities after he wins the Heisman. Yeah. And then you brought up about what's up with Reggie Bush? Yeah.
Well, I was so confused, and I know, like, I saw my responses. I'm not this like hot take artist or anything like that, but I'm just watching it. I'm watching this documentary, and I'm like, he's doing all this illegal stuff. He's holding a Heisman Trophy award. Yeah. But they took Reggie Bush's stuff for similar activities. Yeah. So why is it that Reggie Bush gets his taken away, but Manziel gets to keep his? And there's going to be the people that make it like about race or race and, saying, "Oh, you're race bait." Like, no, I'm not. I'm genuinely curious to know, how does this guy get his Heisman Trophy and people are still trying to get it back for him? And this guy is on TV telling us, "Oh yeah, we were on the private jets. We were taking the money. We were doing these autograph signings. I put the money in my grandpa's name." It's crazy. Like he's telling us everything. Yeah. Like the NCAA, are y'all watching this? Is anybody watching this? So I didn't want to be out there like dry snitching or anything like that, but I was just very curious. And Manziel responded and he said, "Well, my illegal activities started after the Heisman." And it's like, sure. All I know is you're on there talking about it and you get to keep everything. And Reggie Bush, I mean, he got banned from USC. He couldn't go to USC for several years. Man. He just started going back. Yeah. They took wins. They took scholarships. I mean, they destroyed him.
They gave him the Chris Webber treatment.
Yeah. So, it's not like personal towards Johnny Manziel, but as someone who grew up watching Reggie Bush, like it's like, man, I think he's the best college football player ever. Yeah. And it's like, man, he can't even hold, he doesn't. He's erased from the record books of anything from college.
Well, then add on to that with the NIL stuff. Yeah. Now that that's approved and able to go through, why can't he get his reversed? Right. It's like, maybe we should have did this 20 years ago and everything would have been just fine.
Well, I think they're going to start working on it. I think they're going to end up.
They need to.
They're going to have to do that. Because, bro, that was a great point. When I seen that tweet, I was like, I think I gave you a follow right there. And this was even before I even knew what we were going to, do. I planned in this way. I was like, that's a great tweet, man. But it has nothing to do with race. It could have been another white guy. It's right. You know what I mean?
Take the pictures away and just look at the facts and be like, okay, so what's going on here? At the end of the day,
that's true, man. And, Baker's a wild boy. Right. He's a wild boy, man. And Reggie was so squeaky clean and, you know what I mean? Just a great image. I mean, look, what was the craziest thing I heard with him was Kim Kardashian. That's it.
I would say Reggie was caught after he was already out of the college football, right?
And that's the thing,
too. So I think the only reason Manziel got away with it was because he was still playing. NCAA was still making a ton of money off of him. Yeah. You know what I mean? They're not going to take him off the field. It's just spending him half a game. Yeah. Give me a break here. Okay, go back out there.
So maybe it's like a double jeopardy thing. They can't spin the block back and go get him again because it's like, well, we did give you half a game suspension.
Yeah.
I got to go watch it now. I got to watch it.
You have to. The NIL stuff is pretty cool. I want to give a shout out to Barcode Cody, actually. He threw together an NIL package here for local UNLV guys. I think he signed like 8 or 9 guys. Yeah. Threw together a whole package for him. I mean, party bus discounts, obviously free burgers. It owns Barcode Burgers. Next time you're in town, we got to Get you over there, get a
I just
burger.
left right now. I just had me a hangover burger right now. So I was running a little late.
It gets different. Yeah, haircuts, everything, man. It kind of hooked him up. Low key stuff, but man, some of those guys are gonna be out there getting big deals. You know, all the past college stars are like, man, what the heck?
Oh, 100%. I mean, I hang out with some of the guys and they're like, man, like they get in trouble for someone buying them a cheeseburger. They couldn't even have a hangover burger if somebody was buying them for them. That's a violation of NCAA rules.
I was watching that LeBron movie the other day, and the time when that guy gave him a jersey, gave him one and walked away, and he was, his high school ended up sitting him. You know what I mean? Because of it. Like Stu was pissed about the deal. My guy Stuart Schweiger, former Purdue guy, played for the Raiders. We talk about it. He's just like, I don't get it. I don't understand it. Because, he's older generation. He's like, I think secretly he's like, I wish I got that bad. You know what I mean? But man. Salute to you, man. What's your final? I mean, look, this isn't really about winning and losing tomorrow, right?
Oh yeah, it is. Oh yeah, we're gonna beat the brakes off the Niners.
I mean, with the Raiders and Niners, it always is. But I mean, we just want to see everybody. We want to see what they have out there. The young guys. We want to see them leave healthy. Right? We don't want these guys to get hurt. Season's almost here.
Like Devontae in practice?
Yeah, man, which he's okay. He's okay. Yeah, he's okay. But just give us a final prediction. It's kind of difficult to assess because we don't know who's really going to play. Just a final score, just for the heck of it.
For me, it's more so who's going to be contributors. Who am I going to walk away from this game saying, you know what, this young guy might be a contributor for the Raiders.
Yeah.
And it starts with Michael Mayer for me.
I like that.
I want to see how is he as a tight end? How is he freeing himself up at the top of routes? Does he understand how to utilize his body? Yeah. This is a guy that were big body guys when he was at Notre Dame. Yeah. And he looked like this wide guy, but he was like very fluid and he had terrific hands. And I was watching like, man, how does this guy keep just getting open and just dominating the way that he was? You know, terrific hands catchers. So I'm curious more so, than the final score to see guys how do they incorporate him in this offense? What does it look like? Yeah. And who am I walking away from saying, man, like Raiders got a really good, young, talented guy with him?
He was dealing with the undisclosed injury. He's missed about 4 or 5 days of training camp. Yeah. So I don't know if we're going to see too much of him, but I think we'll see like Jesper Horsted. I think he's a 3rd, 4th year guy out there tight end. We'll see a little bit of maybe Cole Fotheringham, a guy at UDFA that we got a few years back. I don't think you're going to see too much.
Fotheringham, that's a hell of a name.
I know, right?
Break it up or something.
Maybe see Hooper a little bit. You know what I mean? We know he's a 2-time Pro Bowler. We already kind of know what he brings to the table. But I'm interested to watch D. Winters. I want to see what he looks like. I live in Dallas, so I see a lot of TCU guys, and I talk to them, and they were really high on him. I'm interested to watch him. I want to see Jair Brown for sure. You know what I mean? As a football fan, I hope you guys lose miserably. Yeah. I hope we win by 90 tomorrow. But there's still young players that I want to check out. And Jair is definitely one of them, and I definitely want to see what D. Winters can do. But yeah, the young guys. I want to see what Trey Tucker does tomorrow.
Even though people will tell you that they don't care about the final score, there's still kind of this weird vibe. Yeah. Even in the preseason when your team loses, like it doesn't matter. Yeah. But it's still like,
I'm still gonna walk into work Monday with 2 Niner fans. I'm gonna hear it.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. I'm getting on my flight at like 3 a.m. Monday morning, and I want to be smiling the whole way home. Right. You know what I mean? So
bump into a Niner fan, like, what do you got?
Yeah, like, what's up? You know what I mean? But
they'll bring matter.
They'll bring up last year. They'll bring up beating us when it mattered the most. So nah, man. Where can we follow you at, man? I mean, I've already subscribed and done all that stuff. Can you? We have, the Raider Nation, man, we support our own, man, and you being from the crib, where can everybody follow you at, like to check out your content?
Yeah, I'd say probably the biggest platform that Raider fans will probably want to follow me on is probably Twitter.
Okay.
And that, or X, whatever the hell they call me these days. But, and that's Eric_Crocker. And that's the one where, like, I really just want to interact and talk football. Yeah. So, with that, it's not even so much about 49ers, even though you will see me talking about the 49ers, but I love watching college football. I love watching the draft. I tell people all the time, I am a football fan before anything. Yeah. So, I'm locked in. I was watching earlier today, driving, trying to keep my eye on, okay, what does Justin Fields do? How's it look going into year 3? Oh man, DJ Moore, the receiver, what does it look like? Can they start to build that continuity a little bit? So for me, I'll be looking out for, Raiders as well. So that'd probably be the biggest platform where I'm the most active, especially with everyone on Twitter at Eric_Crocker.
Okay. There we go. Follow him for the live tweets during the game, obviously.
Yes. Yeah, definitely.
Great follow, man. And I love it, man. And like you said, it's a lot of football takes. It's not just Niners stuff. You provide information on everything going on in the NFL and college. So keep it up, brother.
Thank you.
Yes, and we'll get you back on next time you're in town.
Yeah, definitely got to keep this going, man.
Yeah.
Hey, every home game weekend we'll be here. So
Super Bowl?
Let's go.
Hey.
Raiders Niners.
That's what I'm saying. Right here.
Man, that would be cold right there. That would be cold.
Those tickets would be crazy. I'm already knowing.
We'll be watching the game from here.
Yeah, we're going to have to.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, man. Well, shout out again, Eric Crocker. Make sure you guys follow him for the game. Shout out to my guy Graph here, Graphic Raider. You can follow him on Twitter. Don't follow me at Raider Cody on Twitter. But we're going to close this thing out. Appreciate you guys stopping by. It was a good time. Raiders football is officially back, and Niners football, but Raiders football is officially back.
That's all that matters.
Game day tomorrow, pregame. All three of us are going to be back. We're going to be actually at Mandalay Bay, Rhythms and Riffs, with our guy, Charles Woodson.
Yep.
We're going to be introducing his whiskey to MGM, announcing the official partnership there at Mandalay Bay.
Yes.
If you guys are in town this weekend, you're watching this episode tonight, drop in Sunday morning, 10 a.m., Rhythms and Riffs. We're going to have a good time. Be vibing before the game. I don't care if it's preseason.
Yeah.
It's still game day. It's still a pregame vibe. So we're going to be having a good time. Pop in, say what's up. Might even party bus over to the game.
Yeah. Shout out to the GOAT. And this is going to be one of those few times where you catch some Raiders and Niners together having fun.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yep. So pull up on this, man, and have a good time. And come shake the GOAT's hand. You know what I mean? You know, it's a blessing to be around Charles like that. And you're going to see tomorrow, man. He's such a down-to-earth dude.
I've talked a little bit about my brother and I, right? You know, I grew up diehard 49er fan. My brother diehard Dallas Cowboy fan. But Charles Woodson, we had a poster on our door, you know, when we shared a bedroom when we were kids, and it was Charles Woodson. Yeah. So obviously a lot of respect. I'm excited to meet him. I'm trying not to be like this fanboy or anything. I'll play it real cool.
I got to do it every time I see him.
But inside,
try not to.
Inside, I'm gonna be like, oh, I'm texting my brother like, bro, you see this?
Yeah. I love it. Shout out to my boy Brian too. That's my guy, man.
There we go. Shout out to you guys for tuning in. Make sure you like and subscribe to the video. If you're listening on the audio platform, podcast, subscribe as well. Leave a review. But until next time, peace.